Welcome, Off-Season After Dark fans. Glad to have you here for episode 43 overall. And I don't know the exact start date, but we have to be at about 1 year now. So started about this week, end of June last year. We're glad to have Caleb Nail here with us to talk Fresno State Bulldog football. It's a fan base and school I've wanted to have on as an episode for a long time. So excited to talk new look Pac-12 and all the movement that's been going on out there. But Caleb, glad to have you here today. I'm super excited to talk Bulldog football. And why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, what got you into the space, how long you've been a Fresno guy, and just anything where they can find you and stuff.
Oh, well, first, thanks for having me on, Mike. I appreciate it. I'm born and raised in a small farming town 15 minutes outside of Fresno.
Okay.
So I've been a Bulldog fan my entire life. Growing up, I wanted to play sports at Fresno State, attended games. But I picked basketball, and I'm a 6'1" white guy. It just wasn't going to happen. So
Yep.
I was cheering in the student section at Fresno State. I was in the enology program at Fresno State, so I was winemaking.
Very cool.
And I just wanted to be involved in the athletic program as much as I could. And so in 2019, I started Beware of Bulldogs podcast, primarily as just an interview podcast, talking to former athletes and people helping out in the athletic program. And then it slowly molded into breaking down games and interacting with fellow, we call ourselves the Red Wave, fellow Red Wave members. And it took off from there, and it's been fun. This past season was very tough for me. I'm starting a family. I have 2 kids and a third on the way, and I just bought a wine bar, so I've been running that. And
very cool. Good for you.
So, we're it's been a process trying to get my feet underneath me, but it's been great. And I've met a lot of good people within the Fresno State athletic space. They're very supportive of me and the athletic program, so it's been awesome. And I hope my if we lose internet or I freeze, I apologize.
It happens. That's
that's kind of the story about me getting into the podcasting space and covering Fresno State. And my 3-year-old is probably going to check in on me every once in a while.
Okay,
so I've apologize.
No, that's cool.
Beforehand. He's fun. He's a good guy.
2019, that's in, like I said, 43rd episode, probably 35 to 38 have been with other fan bases. There's probably only 2 or 3 that have been around longer than you. So it's definitely a newer, and podcast on the whole is a newer phenomenon. Right. So, but there's only a couple, I think, that have been longer than that. So it doesn't seem like too many of them are pre-COVID, where yours clearly is around that time. So
yeah, right before.
So, okay. So when you started doing Beware of Bulldogs, who was the head coach there? Was that still Tedford, or had DeBoer started yet?
It was Tedford.
Okay. Yeah, obviously I've brought up here and then in writing articles, a lot of respect for him. I mean, over multiple stints at Fresno and at Cal, very good coach, solid guy, really, I think did a lot of good for college football, and especially out, in the West Coast there. So you guys have certainly done a good job in hiring head coaches. I mean, more so than most teams ever since the Pat Hill days. You've identified some good ones. Tim DeRuyter didn't go as well as planned, but apart from him, been pretty solid.
Yeah, I mean, if people want to take a deep dive into the Fresno State football coaching tree, I think a lot of people will be surprised.
I would love to do that now if you want to talk about so I'll just throw the head coach. We talked about Pat Hill was there for a decade and a half. DeRuyter struggled a bit, but Tedford, Kalen DeBoer, Tedford again, and now Entz, who I part of why I wanted to really do this episode was the history Fresno's had with good head coaches, but also being a Midwest Minnesota guy and those NDSU connections and him moving there, I instantly thought that was a good hire when they got him after his 1 year as an assistant at USC. So,
no, he fits in great in Fresno. So Fresno, and some people may know this, but Fresno and the style of football that we like to play is very, I guess the word we would say around here is gritty.
yeah.
Smash mouth, maybe you might
Mhm.
might say. And granted, our best success came when we had the Carr brothers slinging the ball
Yeah.
everywhere. But we like to run the ball, and Entz fits that style of play. Well, and I should say, and our offensive coordinator, Josh Davis, fits that style of play.
Yeah.
Coming over from, I believe, South Dakota State.
Yeah.
So that's been a lot of fun to watch. And defensively, Entz and our coaching staff they are focused on the trenches. And we love that here. Pat Hill was an offensive line guy.
He was, yeah.
So we had lots of great offensive linemen come through here and play in the NFL. We're all about that. We have had multiple outside linebackers transition to D-ends in the NFL. And so we like to see that progress continue at Fresno State. And it's been a lot of fun to watch. So there's a lot of excitement, especially after season 1. I know we're going to get into that later, but with Entz, he fits the style that the Red Wave wants to see. And so
that's important for fan buy-in too, I think. Yeah. And even before you guys had hired him, one guy I'd written about in talking about assistant coaches, D coordinators, was Nick Benedetto. So he'd been at Northern Illinois before. And I think a high riser in the game, definitely a guy who I think certainly will have opportunities to be a head coach before too long, especially if success. Yeah. But that also means you're doing something right, and you're usually in a better spot for it if that does happen.
Right. We've actually had multiple conversations on our show about where Fresno State lands in the college football world when it comes to coaching, because we understand we're more of a developmental program now. We're developing players for the power conferences, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it also seems to be, we may be doing that for coaches as well. If DeBoer's at Bama now, but that's okay. I'm trying to get across to our fan base, this may be okay, because what's going to happen is with on the coaching side of things, they have to buy our coaches out. So if they buy our coach out, now we make some money, and hopefully we can continue the process. At least if we look at history, we're going to be okay when it comes to hiring coaches. So I'm trying to be okay with it.
I think you have to be.
Yeah. The hard part is relationally. Like they come in, you meet the guy, they're great people. You want to see them succeed, but you don't want to see them leave. But when the bag comes calling, like, I understand.
I mean, if you have another 9-win season this year, especially 2 more, what are the odds that a Big 12 or Big 10 team hires him away? Probably pretty good.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and it's tough to fight that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm actually surprised that Benedetto's still here.
Yeah.
Not deep.
That's an interesting one, but I mean, good coach though. Mm-hmm. And with the assistants, you're almost even more likely to leave as a coordinator just because there's more openings there typically. And the interesting thing though with them is, because most of them came from FCS schools before, you're not typically going to go back to those schools. So it only leaves P4 jobs as upward. So that might be a reason why you've kept him, a year or 2 more than you thought you would.
Right. And Fresno State's very interesting. Just side note, our athletic director, Garrett Classy, we love him here. He's awesome.
Okay.
We just hired a new women's basketball coach, and he is from Anchorage, Alaska. That's D2. He's coaching D2 ball, and he's a national champion. So Classy's doing a lot of hiring very successful coaches from the leagues underneath Division I FBS level or Division I basketball. So he's very much about winning. If you can win, they think they can. That translates to Division I and so forth. And what we've seen, it's true.
Yeah. So actually, at Marshall, we did that 2 years ago. So the women's D2 national basketball champion was Glenville State, a smaller school in West Virginia. We hired her. She won the conference in her only year here, and then is at Tennessee now. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And DeBoer,
that's the process.
He was lost like one game. So
yeah, they were unbelievable there. And him and Grubad have a good thing going together.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah. But let me take you back to what would it be, about 15 or 16 months ago. So you guys had a coaching opening after, well, Tim Skipper was the interim for that year.
Yes. And
you guys weren't awful, but it also seemed like the writing on the wall was that he's not going to be the full-time guy. Is that accurate? He wasn't really in the mix for that job, was he?
Yeah. So it's a very difficult time for Fresno State football.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we didn't meet expectations, but Tim Skipper was in the mix because he was a former football player at Fresno State. So a large percentage of the fan base and alum and former Fresno State football players, his teammates, wanted him there. And so when Entz was hired, there was kind of a divide on, hey, this classy guy, because he was new at the time, should we trust him? Because he didn't hire our own. He hired Entz. Is this the right decision? So actually, my phone was blowing up with people. Hey, what are we thinking about this? And so I think now people have gotten to meet Entz, and it was nothing against Entz.
No, yeah.
Where actually everyone's very happy with Entz, but it was more like it's just an unknown. So with the hiring of Entz, and more so the not hiring of Skipper, there was a big divide before the season in the fan base.
Because I think there's some sense in that dynamic. If it's an outsider like Entz, you're just not hiring him. But if it's a former alumni, it's like you're turning your back on them.
Right.
So, yeah.
And in Fresno, Fresno is very family oriented. Fresno State Athletics, the Red Wave, is very family oriented. We're all friends. We all get along. And I mean, you look at the coaches that were here. Pat Hill stayed in Fresno a long time. He still lives here.
Okay.
Tedford played at Fresno, and then DeBoer came on. He worked for Tedford. He was recommended by Tedford. So it was almost like staying in the family. The one guy that kind of hired from the outside was DeRuiter, and it didn't work out well. So there was still kind of a sour taste in Fresno State's mouth from people from the outside. So I think there's that added to everything.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I definitely understand that, and especially like drawing another parallel with Marshall. Like, we won the conference 2 years ago, and then Charles Huff left, but there was bad blood there, and it was a big deal to people. Like, we need to hire a West Virginia guy. It's not something I buy into, but it's a real feeling among the fan base and the locals. So I definitely get where you're coming from there. So then, last year, going back to this, Entz got hired, and when it came down to the end, before the hire was made, who were some other big names that were in the mix for that job? If you remember any of them, if you don't, we can move on. Okay.
I don't, honestly, I don't remember.
Yeah.
It was,
it seems like that one moved pretty quick, and that hire was a pretty efficient one, if I remember.
Yeah, it was. Classy did a great job, and they moved through it pretty quick. And then, we lost a couple guys, but there were some big names that stuck around.
Yes.
And that was a sign to me that, hey, this guy Entz, he knows what he's doing. He's getting along with the players. I mean, we saw him after they introduced him, I believe at the press conference, he stuck around because players showed up to the press conference.
Yeah.
And he stayed and he talked to them. I mean, that's the business he's in, but
Yeah.
he's a great guy. He's a family man. I mean, he's got kids and a wife. His kids are playing ball.
And one of his boys was on the team at NDSU when he was his last couple years there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he knows how it works. Plus, he's a great guy and he's very involved in the community, and his wife is as well. Okay. So they know what they're doing, and they're just good people. And I mean, when you run into a good person, like, we see it, and we can read if you're genuine or not. And he's very genuine about it. Okay. And the players saw this, and so by them sticking around, that says a lot to a fan base.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, just being present and taking the time to do that is going to go a long ways, especially when you're in those early stages of forming those relationships with people. And slight slide out back there, I am glad to see that Tim Skipper did finally get a head job. He had last year was the interim. And everybody gave Jerry Neuheisel a lot of the credit at UCLA when they started winning after the firing Foster. And Neuheisel did deserve some of that, but I think everybody forgot. No, actually, Skipper was the interim head coach and did organize a lot of that. So glad to see him at Cal Poly now and get a head job at that FCS level. So,
we are very happy for Skip. Yep. And the only thing I'm disappointed about is that Cal Poly's, it's only 2 hours away from us, so he might take some of our guys, which is
maybe. I mean, yeah. You'd hope that you'd be on a different platitude than them and recruiting a level up. But it also might be in the next year or two a situation for him where if some of your guys aren't playing and want to transfer down to play, he could be picking off some of those guys. But at that point, they're not playing for you. So that's a whatever. But
actually, it's a bigger conversation about Sac State coming up to D1. That's
I can get that. And I think for them, Alonzo Carter was a good hire, former Brent Brennan guy who's at San Jose State and then Arizona last year, another guy who would know the area well.
Right.
But going back to now, we'll get into rehashing last year a little bit. So year one of Entz, you guys finished 9-4 for those out there who didn't know, but lost to Kansas in the opener there. And I'll be honest, that game, you're usually going to pick the P4 school to win those games. I thought it would be a little closer than it was.
I agree.
That season opener last year, they were coming off of a poor year before, but then after that game, you guys went on a heater and won several games in a row up until Colorado State. So what was kind of the feeling around last year? Colorado State, at the time, it was like, okay, I wasn't sure. In hindsight, it looks like a really bad loss on paper. I mean, they were only 2-10 last year. Norvell obviously got fired. Then San Diego State got shut out in that one. I think they're going to be pretty good this year. That the Aztecs look to be pretty good in 26, but solid season of that. And then Utah State was a loss. I had a Utah State guy on last, so that was one of the very few out west guys I had on the show last year. But I gave a very abbreviated look at last year. What you and the people more in the trenches with the Red Wave. What did you guys think about last year?
Oh, sorry, my 1-year-old is now crying, but that's not how we felt about last year, by the way.
Okay.
We're very. It was a mixed bag last year. The fan base expected a little more, and I say that because blowout at Kansas. I don't think we expected a blowout. Scoreless against San Diego State, which that's a good team. But you mentioned that, and then a Colorado State team who was underperforming last year, and we.
Good win against Georgia Southern, who's always a solid team. I will say,
yeah. And so I think because of those losses, we missed. We had some higher expectations, and we missed those expectations because of those losses. And then there was, I think quarterback play was poor last year. And so the fan base was left wanting more.
Okay.
Especially that position. And I mean, we've been spoiled here at Fresno State. We've had great quarterback play from Trent Dilfer, Sweeney before him, the Carr brothers, Jake Hayner, and Marcus McMarion, who beat Boise and Boise for a Mountain West championship. So we've been spoiled. And then we got Warner's kid.
Yeah.
And so
I thought EJ would be a little better last year than he was. Not physically, I think he's talented, and there was the potential, but didn't work at Temple or Rice. And then I thought it might be better, but it really wasn't, like you said.
Yeah, and I wanted a little more from EJ. I will say that we had some injuries on the O-line that I don't think helped. That's one of the things we talk about on the show is, for some reason, Fresno State, ever since I've been doing the podcast, we have not been able to keep a healthy offensive line. Many teams across the country can't, and we are always up there. Guys are always playing different positions from when they started the season because of injuries. And so it'd just be nice. So I think that the reason I bring that up is because our running game was supposed to be our primary.
I mean, going into last, I know from doing college fantasy stuff, me and a lot of people were talking Donaldson as one of the top 5 G6 running backs last year.
Right. And he should have been.
Yes.
But we struggled blocking for him. And so it put us in a lot of second and long, third and long situations where the defense knew what was going to happen. And so now we're relying on EJ to go make a play. And even then, he wasn't granted a whole lot of time. I don't want to, EJ made poor decisions and bad throws. Not saying it was not his fault. But this is a team game. And when the line doesn't block well, you're forced to make throws that you just don't want to make. So there were expectations that were not met. And even though expectations were not met, we won 9 games with a first-year coaching staff, with a quarterback that was brand new to the playbook.
Yeah.
So for me, a 9-win season, no matter what, and a bowl win, I'm happy. That's great.
For me, any situation where you have a first-year coach and win 9 games, that's a win. There's rarely going to be a situation where that's not acceptable in a first-year head coach. Oddly enough, I can only think of 2 of them. One of them was Kalen DeBoer, because that wasn't enough for their fans, apparently, when he left. And the other one was Ryan Day, when he was great, but lost to Michigan in year 1. So different ball games, but yeah.
So
but it's weird looking, though. Like, you look at 9-4, but some of those losses, they do seem like the Kansas one. We talked about Colorado State, bad in hindsight, but going to Boise and throttling them had to feel really good last year.
Yes, it did. And against Boise, now granted, Maddox Madsen, their starting quarterback, was out injured in first drive. We also played our backup that game. We made a switch. And so
was that Carson Conklin or the?
Yeah, I believe. Okay. Yes. Gosh. Okay. Yes. And so he beat Boise State and Wyoming.
Okay.
So there's
pretty resounding. I think both of those games were pretty big wins, just score-wise. Yeah.
Yeah. Beat Wyoming 24-3 and Boise 30-7.
Yeah. I mean, that's great D, both those games.
Yeah. So great defense. Our defense showed up. And then we ran the ball well, and we had to. But even then, Conklin came in and throwing the ball. I think everybody had a little bit higher expectation from Conklin because we had heard good things. He transferred in from Sac State, and we thought there was going to be a little bit more umph behind his arm, and it just nothing really fit together from what we had heard.
Didn't he go back to Sac State now?
I believe he did.
Conklin?
Yeah. So the quarterback situation. And then the way we lost games, it just didn't feel as though the Red Wave was super thrilled. But if you ask anyone in Fresno, We are very happy with 9 wins and Coach Entz. So it's kind of funny how it works out.
Okay. No, that makes sense. I think that context is always good to understand, like getting away from the record. How do the actual fan base itself feel? And, what are expectations, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, and things like that. So recap, we did a good job recapping the last year. And then a good bowl in Miami, Ohio is always a salty team. Chuck Martin does a great job in the trenches there. He's been there a dozen years, is entering year 13 for him. So good way to end the season. And then roster wise, so, bring in Christian Martin in the portal, from Maryland. What are the thoughts? Just we'll go through the position groups. What's the thought with him? Obviously, a horse of a 6'4", 230, just a massive human with a cannon for an arm. So, what are you guys hoping for with him? What are you looking at there at the QB spot?
So I think number one at the QB spot, if you ask a Fresno fan, someone from Fresno, they're very interested in Jaden Mandel, who is listed right now as number 2. We're pretty sure Christian Martin's going to be the starter. But Jaden Mandel is a local kid, played here. He's athletic, and he's been here a while. So people are interested in him. But Christian Martin, the number one thing, if you do any research into offense at Fresno State, what we want to do is, one, we want to run the ball, and that includes with the quarterback.
Okay.
And offensive coordinator Josh Davis mentioned that in camp, said, hey, we want to do a little bit more design quarterback runs. And when you throw in a 6'4" monster running the ball, it's not going to be fun to try and tackle Bryson Donaldson and Rayshawn Luke every play. Now add on a 6'4", 200-some Christian Martin. So it's just going to be brutal. And yes, he does have a cannon of an arm. I'm very excited to see what he brings to the table. But you have to remember, in Fresno, the past couple years, since Jake Haener left, we had Mikey Keene, one and done. Then we had Warner, one and done.
Keene's played at all kinds of schools, man.
And Mikey Keene is now, I believe, at Arizona State.
Yeah.
But all of them have underperformed in Fresno. So we're hesitant, I think. We want to see it first. Like, yes, Christian Martin looks great. So did the kid from Tennessee with a rocket arm. I forget his name, but, in pro day. But anyways, everybody looks good in the highlight reel when you can throw it 80 yards. But can you hit your check down? Can you read a defense? So, and especially for running quarterback design runs, is that RP? We're going to find out. Is it RPO? How many reads are you having to make? Or are you just grabbing the ball and running it and following a pulling guard? What exactly are we looking at here? We're going to wait and see after week 1, which we're at USC.
We'll talk about the schedule more in a bit.
Yeah. So I think his work's cut out for him if Christian Martin starts. And same with Jaden Mandel. If he gets the start, which would be a long shot, but if Christian Martin gets a start, we're going to be paying close attention, and Fresno fans are going to want to see it first.
Definitely. No, I think that's reasonable. And I also think it's, it tells me something about the closeness and tight-knit relationship and nature of your fan base, that some people want to see if Mandel can be the guy and give him a chance to play after he's put in the work and been there for so long. Like, I don't think everywhere would be as open to do that. Sometimes you just are going to look at, we get this guy in the portal, he's physically better, we're going to start him. But that's not always the case. We certainly, some of those guys have went to other jobs and then also flopped and not made it. So we'll see what happens there.
Shout out to Mandel, because Keene transferred in, Mandel was there,
Yeah.
and he stayed. And then Warner transferred in, Mandel stayed. Martin transferred in, Mandel stayed. So,
Yeah.
There's
Good point. Yeah.
Oh.
And yeah. Now the running back position, there are not many questions there. You guys should be outstanding at that position with Bryson Donaldson coming back and Rayshon Luke also back. I mean, whoever starts at QB will have the luxury of a very good running back core behind them to hand off to.
Yes. We are very excited here when it comes to the running back position. Bryson Donaldson is a local kid. Grew up in Fresno, or
didn't know that. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. And so just to have him, he's a big body. He will run you over. And to have him stay here, we're very excited. And then Rayshon Luke, both of them staying here. We did have a couple we did have one guy transfer in, and I'm blanking on his name now.
Tariq Thomas was at Central Arkansas, and he had over 100 carries there last year. So you have 3 running backs that carried the ball over 100 times last year.
Right. So I'm excited to watch Tariq play. Unfortunately, Brandon Ramirez, who played last year as well, he's a bruiser and another local kid. He is injured, and it's looking like I haven't seen the official announcement on this yet, but it's looking like he's going to be out for season.
I did not know that because the depth chart I had Ramirez listed as 3rd, so I did not know that he was hurt.
Yeah. So, which is a total bummer. But with Tariq there, and he's a different style of running back than Donaldson, and even Rayshon. So, I think there's 3 guys that are going to be able to hit him in the mouth, and that's the style of play we want to have in Fresno with this coaching staff. So we're very excited for running back. And I'm just going to throw out there, I think this is one of the top running back rooms in the country, and people aren't talking about it. So, I mean, because it's being overlooked because Boise has some pretty good running backs. But I think this is a dark horse running back room.
Yeah. G6 wise, there aren't any I can think of right now that I would say are better. I mean, they're probably the best one in the country at that position. I definitely off the top of my head, I can't think of a better one right now. Now the receiving corps. So it looks like Jaleel McClain will be that slot guy, and then Ezekiel Abbott is back after having 20 some catches last year. And then who do you expect to be the other starter on the outside?
Freeman.
Okay.
Yeah. So Josiah Freeman.
Yeah. And I was curious about him. Sorry to cut you off there, but because one of the depth charts I looked at said he graduated. The other one was he was on it. So I was unsure about which of those was accurate, if he did have another year of eligibility. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's fair because he was granted another year. And then he came out. Kind of the big story in the offseason was he came out. He released that Ole Miss is kind of like tampering with him, trying to get him money before he wasn't in the portal.
Yeah.
And so he released that. So, and he chose to stay here. Another, this, which speaks volumes to me and I think some other fans, or to our fan bases. Josiah came on hot at the end of the season, and I think that's what you see these SEC schools come in for him.
Yeah.
Well, he stayed, and then Abbott's there, McClain. I think there's 2 other names that people should watch out for. There's a young guy, Harold Duval. He was a true freshman last year. He's a sophomore this year.
Yeah, one of the depth charts, the one that has Freeman on it, has Duval as his backup, and then it has Jay and Farrar as Abbott's backup.
Yeah, and then we do have there's another Jordan Malauulu.
Okay.
He actually, a lot of 2 deeps you'll see Rayshon Luke as a returner, but don't be surprised if you see Malauulu taking kickoff returns or punt returns back.
Okay.
He's shifty and he can move. He can get moving. So
the one I'm looking at does indeed say Luke as the kick returner and Mala'ulu as the backup there. It does have him as the punt returner as well.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, don't be surprised if you see him taking first team reps on when it comes to special teams as a specialist. The wide receiver side of things, we have, so we used to be small and fast, short to intermediate passing game.
Yeah.
Now, with the style that Entz and Davis are playing, we're moving to bigger wide receivers on the outside that can go win jump balls. And they're working on their speed now. So,
and that's the kind of guys you had at NDSU. You're bigger guys that you're going to run, and take deep shots down to this, let them make one-on-one plays. Yeah.
And that excites me as a basketball player. I love to go see that. And that's, I mean, when I was a kid or I was a student, we had Devontae Adams, and he did that all day long. So that's always fun to hear. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see the wide receiver room and see if we can keep these guys happy, because we want to run the ball a lot.
Yeah.
Can they block? I'm sure they will, but can we keep them happy by getting them touches? We will see.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. And then at the tight end position, it seems like that's a room with something to be had. You know, Richie Anderson, we know, transferred to Texas A&M. So one of the two guys that do biscuits and SEC is one of our brother channels under our same umbrella. They're A&M guys. So I talked about that transfer before, and he, 30 catches last year. So that's a loss for you guys. But who do you expect to be, in that tight end room? I see Brock Liam returns, and then Applegate transferred from Northern Illinois. Is it going to be between those two?
Yes, and I think both of them are going to play a lot because we run a lot of two tight end sets. Yes. And Applegate, I think he was rated the number one blocking tight end by PFF. So that's nice.
It's very impressive
for us. Brock Liam was injured last year, but he's very athletic. He's going to be a lot of fun. This tight end room is another room that I think people should watch, because we have some very athletic tight ends. Obviously, we're going to be running the ball, so they like tight ends that can block. But the guys that he inherited are very athletic as well, like Liam and these guys. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. But I believe Applegate is going to get more reps just because he's a blocker. And but there's that Benedetto connection. We're bringing a lot of guys in from NIU, and they have a similar mentality and style of play that we do, even offensively. Just tough.
They did. With Hammock, they definitely had that. Now they have the interim for this year, but
it'll be fun. I think a lot of play action. What I'm looking for, and I didn't touch on this from quarterback play with Christian Martin, is a lot of play action, rolling out, probably hitting the tight end on some short intermediate passes, and looking to run as well. So the tight ends will be used a lot in this offense.
Good to hear. Yeah. And I will say, in looking, at the depth charts and returners and so on, it says you guys returned 3 starters on the O-line. I've only talked with one other guest this offseason where that was the case. Everybody else, they're returning 0, 1. A couple of them had 2 O-linemen, just because it just seemed like this is a year where a lot of O-linemen were leaving after, exhausting there and having that portal year. But also at the G6 level, your good O-linemen are getting plucked by the bigger schools just because it's such a dire need for some of them. So you have to feel really good about returning 3 starting O-linemen on a team that won 9 games and ran the ball like you did.
Yes. I am very big on winning games in the trenches. I think if you have a good O-line and an experienced O-line, you're going to win a lot of games.
Yeah.
So at Braden Walton returning is huge for us.
I will be curious with if he has another good year this year, it might be tough to there because there will be the absolute elite blue bloods that will want him to go there if he has another good year.
Yes, 100%. The only thing we have going for us is that he's another local kid.
Okay.
So I mean, I've mentioned that a lot lately, as you could tell. This coaching staff I mentioned, and people were worried about him being from out of town. They're bringing in a ton of local studs.
Okay. And Walton looks the part of an NFL tackle too. Like he has the frame and the massive height, long, or like he looks like that guy.
Yeah. People asked me last year, hey, who's going to get, people always ask me, who's going to get drafted from Fresno State? Like, well, the best shot is Walton, but he was a freshman. So,
yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we're very excited to have him back. He'll be at left tackle.
Yeah. Going back to our previous chat, like talk about the potential of if you guys are really good and Entz gets a P4 job, he's asking Walton if he wants to come with him.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if if Davis or Entz gets this big P4 job, that a lot of these O linemen stay with them, because the O line is kind of they're in the spotlight here in this offense.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. Yeah.
So Fanua is our projected starting left guard. He's a returner and he's a senior. We have a transfer, Oscar Weigel, German last name, I'm guessing. Okay. Young guy, I believe he's transferred from Purdue at center.
He was at University of San Diego last year, but he's been at a couple places.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Maybe that was somebody else. Anyways,
okay,
doesn't matter. We have this transfer coming in that's possibly going to play center. We also have and I talked to Braylon Henderson, who has played at Fresno State on the O-line before. So if Braylon gets the starting job at center, like there's experience there in this offense. He's a returner, not consistent starting reps, but he's played in the system.
The depth chart IAP does say Henderson at center, as the projected likely guy there.
Yeah, so there's a possibility that he's there. And then right tackle is also returning Roland Fullwood. And he's a senior. Okay. Yeah, so there's a possibility that we have 4 of our 5 offensive linemen that are returners and have reps.
Good.
So would be great, and I would love that. So,
well, Barnett, the guy that transferred from UCF, is he a guard likely?
UCF, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, guard, that's what I see. UCF, Purdue, same colors.
They are the same colors. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why I was thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, most likely guard. I think, and that's that guard spot that's up to take. So probably guard and center. Okay.
Good to know. Yeah. So then now let's get to the defensive side of the ball. And we talked about Benedetto have a lot of success there. You guys essentially run a 4-2-5. But that D line, you return quite a few guys that played. Lafitte, Jackson, Zapera all played a lot of ball last year. And then you brought in the 2 transfers from Sac State, both of whom played a lot of games there. So certainly at the edge positions, you look good. Maybe a little more uncertain in the interior there.
Yeah. Lafitte and Owusu, both returning starters they'll be inside most likely.
Okay.
And then Jazon Jacks, bigger D end. He's a senior as well.
Yep.
And then Sione Noah he is also an end, and he's a returner. Not a returning starter, but he's played and had reps. And he was in the rotation last year, and I believe he got hurt. So really, realistically, all 4 starters are returners. And so and they're good. And they are, I believe our D tackles, which Lafitte and Owusu, are juniors, and our outside guys are seniors. So which means bigger, developed. And I like that on the D line. We did bring in some FCS transfers, like you said, which I'm very excited about because we had one last year that was pretty good. And Zapera is also a returner. So
yep, he was one of them that was on my radar on the depth chart here. And then the transfer that, other than the Sac State guys, the one I wanted to ask about was Maverick Noonan. Is that something up, because I saw him listed there like as a transfer from Nebraska, but then not on the depth chart I was looking at. So I wasn't sure what to make of that. Sometimes when that's the case, the guys are no longer with the team, but I don't know what his case is.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything. From everything I've heard, Noonan is a stud and should be fun. But yeah, I haven't heard anything, but I could be wrong. So you'll have to double check me there.
Okay. Yeah, it sometimes the two sites where I do the depth charts at, they're slow to the game with the G6 schools. So that could be the case too. And it's just they're not moving as quick as they would be other times.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I haven't heard anything recently.
Then linebacker wise, Kavion Thunderbird, coming back, was, I think, your guys' second or third leading tackler.
Mm-hmm.
Or for the linebackers. I think some of the safeties had more, but a guy that was, I'm guessing, was he hurt part of last year?
Yes.
Because I saw he was listed as second, but only played 7 games. That logically told me he's probably hurt for part of the season.
Yeah, so, he did.
Okay.
He got injured.
Yeah, but really, Pearson's the only starting linebacker that you guys lost. Mm-hmm. And the rest of them, Thunderbird, Kajavi, and then Logan Stutt, all back, and guys that played almost every game or every game.
Yeah, this linebacker core is tough, a lot of fun to watch, experienced, and a couple local guys. Kajavi and Stute are local kids.
Okay.
So people, their families they're at the game, every game, and awesome. All their friends. So it's fun to watch. And then, and then Thunderbird, if he can stay healthy, he was so fun last year. Not only do I think he'll be first team all names team, but he could be first team all conference this year as well. I mean, he brought a lot to the table last year when he was healthy, and he was performing well. So I really like this linebacker core. I think the only thing I will say about the linebacker core that I'm paying attention to is their speed. Can we keep up with speedy running backs, or if we get stuck, in zone D in the slot or something like that? Hopefully, like you said, we play 4-2-5.
Yeah.
So most likely they're not going to be matching up.
Typically,
with
that nickel type guy is going to be more versatile. Yeah, you'd hope.
Yeah,
to do that.
But if they get stuck, can we keep up? Because we don't have the guy. These boys are big hitters.
Yeah, Thunderbird's definitely that B gap to B gap run stopper, Mike linebacker type guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see how they perform in pass defense.
Okay. Yeah, that's reasonable. Not many. Not many guys at the collegiate even at the P4. Very few are going to be elite at both running and pass D. Right. So that's just the nature of the beast. Yeah. Right. And then in the defensive backfield, looking there, that's where it seemed like you guys did lose more guys. It looked like, Simeon Harris is back and Ethan Tierney. Most everybody else graduated. I did see Taylor Powell transferred in from Northern Illinois. Presumably that's another guy that followed Benedetto there. And then Croy Stewart was one I noticed from UCLA. But I couldn't say I knew much about, what that D-back room is going to look like, just because it's probably guys that were backups with you guys last year.
Yeah, and this is the biggest question mark on the entire team, other than quarterback, I would say, but even more so than quarterback, is at corner. Simeon Harris, A lot of people are saying he's going to be the nickel position. We'll see.
The depth chart I have does indicate that would be the case. Yes.
Yeah. So we'll see where he lines up though, because I like him at corner.
Yeah.
But other than that, we don't.
One thing with him too, former Colorado and Utah State guy, I wonder if it's almost his preference to play nickel, because if he has a shot long-term to play in the NFL, he will be at that slot guy. He's not going to be an outside guy. Maybe he wants to move to help his long-term potential, even if it wouldn't be the best for the team this year.
Right. I could see that. Now, he is our best player in the secondary. So as long as he's on the field, I'm happy. He's and then there have been question marks at safety, but I think we lost some guys. But Ryan Wilson, who played last year, got hurt. The guy's just been beat up with injuries his entire career. He's
another guy that was crossed off my list as exhausted eligibility, but he must have won another year. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So he's back at safety, and then Ethan Tierney most likely. And we had some transfers come in at safety, like you said. So it's going to be fun to see. I hope it's going to be fun to see how this works out. But there's a lot of question marks with DBs, and I'm hoping that our experienced D-line and big D-line forces quarterbacks to make quick decisions so that we don't have to worry too much about them.
Fair. Absolutely. No, that's fair. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
So, but yeah, other than Simeon Harris, it's kind of up in the air.
Okay.
We'll see who marches out there week 1.
Makes sense. Yeah. Now, let's move a little to week 1. So looking at the schedule, a bit obviously you at USC in the opener, that paycheck game that all of us at the G6 level need to survive. That is, there is no shame in it, even though nobody really wants to talk about it. But that's what it is. Marshall opens at Penn State this year. I feel it. Oh. So, yeah. And then Alabama in 27. So.
Oh, my word.
But then you guys, week 2 should be a fun one for you guys with Sac State jumping up to FBS and you guys having them at home this year. It's a fun non-conference game.
Very much so. I think this very quickly over 1 year became a rivalry game. So, and especially for, I actually think Sacramento State is a huge game, and it's not being talked about in Fresno that much right now because we're focused on USC, which as it should, because everybody wants to beat USC. When Reggie Bush and Leinart were there, we played them, and it was a great game.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's Reggie Bush's Heisman moment.
It was.
But we were in that game the entire time. We should.
Yeah.
There's a conversation, but we should have won that game. So anyway, since then, the Red Wave and the Bulldogs, we've wanted to beat them so bad. And we've been close a couple times. But Sacramento State, this is a big game because if we perform well, there's no chance that, like we said earlier at the beginning of our chat, there's no chance that Sacramento State's going to be stealing our guys. But if Sacramento State comes into our house and performs well, and God forbid they beat us, that's going to hurt a lot.
It will.
So we really need to kind of shut them up, I guess.
I think that's fair. Put that marker down right away and say, metaphorically, you guys are in FBS now, but you're not at our level yet. And right. I think that's the message you want to send in a situation like that, especially to a very close proximity regional rival.
Right. So we are big brother.
Yeah. Then you got another regional-ish game. We go to San Jose State the week after that. And they were not as good as I expected they would be last year. I thought they would improve over what they had been in Numatalalo's year 1, 3-9. I do have a lot of respect for him as a head coach. So I think he's pretty good. So is that another game? I mean, what's the thought? Do you guys view them as a rival? What are the feelings with San Jose?
We do view them as a rival. We have it's a trophy game.
Okay.
So
I know you guys beat them pretty good the last game of the year last year, but
yeah.
It
we're still salty that Fales back in, I think it was 2014, David Fales was a quarterback there, and he beat us last game of the season with Derek Carr and Devontae Adams to ruin our undefeated season. And so we're still taking it out on them. We don't like it. So yes, they are a rival.
When was the last time they beat you guys? Was that it?
Might have been COVID. I think they won the Mountain West that year. I can't remember. I get those losses out of my mind. I try to very quickly.
In 2023, 2 years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I forgot about that one. They were legit. They were really good at throwing the ball that year, though. So
was that Nick Nash?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I remember.
He had 200 targets. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I don't think I'm not. You never know what can happen in a rivalry game, but we've handled our business for the most part against San Jose State. We get that we're at San Jose that this year, so we'll see. Not that like they have great home field advantage there, but it's still away from home, and we'll see. I think the way that we're set up this year with our team and how we're built, there's not many teams. There's really only 2 teams in the pack that I'm looking at, and that's Boise and San Diego State.
Yeah. I was talking to one of my buddies a couple days ago and just about all of G6 in general. And he was looking at like future props and stuff for making the playoffs. And I said, considering we know that a G6 team has to make it, I don't hate a San Diego State long shot one because I think they're going to be pretty good this year.
I agree. I'm not mad at that at all. And that's that game. We do get them October 17th in San Diego. So it's going to be tough because they, with the new style of play, they like to throw the ball all over the yard.
Yeah.
And like I said, our question mark is our secondary.
Yes.
Are we going to be able to either A, get after the quarterback, or 2, make a couple plays when the ball's in the air?
Sean Lewis is a good coach too.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So they'll be. And you got Boise earlier this year. They're going to want revenge, I imagine, in that game after last year. So that'll be an interesting one.
Yeah, we get them at home. Praise the Lord, we get them at home.
Yeah.
And it's so in the Mountain West, we played Boise every other year because they're on the other division.
Yeah.
And this Fresno State versus Boise game has become a rivalry ever since they beat us when David Carr was here and we were ranked nationally. And then they kind of had this huge come up, and now they're one of the, they're the top G6 team for the past 2 decades or so.
Yeah.
Kind of stole our thunder. So, and then, but we've played good games with them ever since and kind of dominated Mountain West, both of us.
Didn't you guys beat them when they had Ginty, right? 23 or 24? One of those 2 years? Yeah.
Oh, yes. Alexander Madison.
23. Yeah, 23. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and then they actually took our running back last year. Forgive me, I can't remember. Don't forgive me. I mean, I can't remember his name, but because I moved on. But Malik Sherrod.
Yes.
So they took Malik Sherrod last year.
Yeah.
So I mean, we really do not like Boise here. Don't wear a Boise shirt to Fresno State Stadium, please.
Okay.
Just warning any Boise fans out there.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a good game. Both these 2 teams are ranked 1 and 2 when it comes to offensive line and defensive line experience in the Pac-12.
Okay, that's
so,
not shocking. Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, that is the best ranking to judge how good a team is going to be, offensive line and defensive line, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be a fun game. And both running back rooms are very good. So, I mean, this game
Yeah,
could be,
Sire Gaines is back for them, and I forget the other guy, but
yeah, it could be, a 14-10 football game.
yeah,
Who knows? But it's going to be a lot of fun, and there's a lot of hate there.
yeah. Utah State will be another interesting one. Mendenhall, is a very good coach. A lot of experience there. They 6-7. They weren't great last year. That was also his first year there. I think they'll continue to get better as long as he's there. They're pretty solid. And then you guys also get Texas State. They joined the conference after leaving the Sun Belt, the conference that, Marshall is in. So they came to Huntington last year. I saw them. If you get a chance to go to San Marcos, they actually have it's a pretty fun place to go for a game. So
yeah. We are there. We're in San Marcos this year.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
So that could, if you have the opportunity, that could be fun. They'll be pretty talented. Brad Jackson is a good QB for Texas State. They'll throw the ball a lot. Kinney's a good young head coach. I think as good as they've been under him, they've not reached expectations. Like they were, every year they figured they'd win the West and, be Sun Belt contenders, go to the conference title game. They actually never did win the West or qualify for the conference title in their time in the Sun Belt, which the other Sun Belt team fans are quick to remind them when they left, naturally. But still, with the resources they have, good coaching staff, they'll be competitive in any G6 conference and they'll be okay. But it also feels like the rest of the, U7 are kind of the same mold, and they're a little bit of an outlier from everybody else in the conference.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I've noticed that because on my X, Caleb_Nail in ALE, I put up a post, who's the best quarterback in the pack. And Brad got the most votes.
Yeah.
Everybody says Brad is the best.
I don't hate that. Yeah, him and Jaden Denigle's pretty good too at San Diego. I would definitely say one of those two. I think.
I think so. I think people are sleeping on Denigle. I think a lot of people are going to say Madsen with how Boise performed last year.
To me, that's more of a system. Like we haven't seen it out of him per se. I think it's just his supporting cast is.
I agree with that 100%. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, I was actually surprised. I look at all these rankings or projected finishes for the pack, and Texas State is lower than I would expect, and especially with an experienced quarterback and a good coaching staff and their atmosphere in Texas, the resources they have. I'm surprised, but it makes sense knowing their history in the Sun Belt. So it's going to be interesting to see how Texas State performs. And then they added travel with these schools to Texas.
On defense going into the year, they'll be somewhat like you guys where we're not sure if they're going to be able to defend the pass well. It's where they struggled last year. So we'll have to see if they can get better there. Another interesting QB to watch will be Haas Haney, who was at Oklahoma State and is now at Colorado State. He certainly can run the ball pretty well. Throwing there is going to be something to be desired there, but it'll be an interesting one to look at. So going into this year, what are expectations?
So in Fresno, expectations are to win the Pac-12.
Yeah, I expected they would be. I don't hate that. Yeah.
I think with a win over Boise last year, and people are saying that Boise is projected to win it this year, our expectation is that we beat Boise. Granted, we got shut out against San Diego State last year, but let's do our business against San Diego State. It's a rivalry game. That's another trophy game here. So let's go in, let's beat San Diego State and take care of business, and let's go win the first iteration of this Pac-12.
The first new look Pac-12. Yep, I like it.
So, once again, I know we talked about expectations were high last year. I think they're very high this year. So last year, 9-4, obviously 5-3 in conference.
Yeah.
we always seem to slip up in conference somewhere. With an experienced team like this, the expectation is we don't want to see that.
And I think that piggybacks good off of a point you made where you want to see a team that's built through the trenches, O&D line. You're more recession-proof when you're better in the trenches.
Right.
So I think that there's something to be said for that. Yeah.
100%. So, I mean, we get we're at Washington State this year. I think we should beat them. We get Oregon State at home. It's another that game has history there. So we're going to there's a lot of tough games on this schedule. Not as tough as in years past, I think, because I think some of these teams are down. But because of that, expectations are high, and you still got to play these tough rivalry games away from home. So we're going to see. I think realistically, if I'm being honest, I think we probably finish second or third behind Boise and San Diego State with 2 or 3 losses in conference, probably being to Boise and San Diego State.
Okay.
We have a flex game at the end.
Yes, I wanted to ask about that. So explain that more.
Yeah. So how the Pack is doing this is you're going to play another team that you most likely have already played. And from what I hear, I don't know if I've seen this anywhere, but I was looking it up and I couldn't find it, but I thought we're playing San Diego State again. So if we have to play San Diego State twice.
See, I was assuming it would, when I saw the flex one, I was assuming it would go off of like 1 and 2 would play each other and something like that. But
yeah, I can't
okay.
Off the top of my head. And I was looking into it before we started and I couldn't find anything, but I thought I had heard San Diego State. I could be totally wrong there. But either way, if we pull a flex game and we pull Boise or San Diego State, that's a really tough pull for us. That would be nice. If I'm assuming if we pull San Diego State, it's a home game for us because on the schedule right now we're away, our first game. So that's good. But if we have to travel to Boise, it doesn't matter. Boise or San Diego State, it's going to be a tough game either way. So
absolutely, yeah.
It really depends who we pull on this flex game. I would like to play someone else.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's just how things are going to go. It's they're doing this to help the Pack try and get that bid to the playoff. So I don't know if that's going to help or not, especially if you have 3 teams that just beat each other up at the top.
Yeah.
Is it really going to help?
It's tough. Yeah. And you almost wonder, does it hurt your bowl bids going into the postseason if you're beating each other up like that too?
Right. So I know why they're doing it. They hopefully a good team can add something to their resume. If Fresno State beats San Diego State twice, but loses to Boise and then wins the Pack with 1 loss to Boise, beats Boise in the championship game, well, that helps them maybe. Or does it? I don't know. So we'll see.
We don't. Yes, it's kind of in the eye of the beholder at that point. We don't know. Yeah.
Right.
So that's a fair point. Yeah. Then we went time-wise, we're winding down here to the end, but there's a couple questions I always ask at the end. So those were the expectations. Now, what would you say absolute best case scenario? What would you say that record-wise is?
I would say 11-1.
I would agree with that. I think they're like best that would be. And now, worst case, what would you say? And that's always tough because you almost have to envision our quarterback is getting hurt in this scenario. But yeah.
I honestly, I think worst case scenario is probably 8-4, maybe a 7-5.
Okay.
And the reason those 5 losses are probably a USC, Boise State, San Diego State, and then you're dropping 2 between Utah State, Texas State, Texas State, Colorado State, and maybe Oregon State.
Or that flex game again, too.
Oh, that flex game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So I think that's worst case scenario. The fan base would not be happy with 500.
No, it would not be.
So I think I'm okay. But listen, 8-9 wins, that's a good season. And especially if we draw on that flex game a good team. So I'm okay with that. Anything lower than 8 wins, I think you're going to hear some grumbling from the Red Wave.
I think that's reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think with the experience that we have on this team and the returners, I think there's no reason that we shouldn't be a 9, 10, 11 win team this year.
Okay. No, I would get in line with that. I think that's probably where most people would feel like, in your situation. So 2 questions I always ask our fan base or the viewers for our fans on the way out. Which coach in the new look Pac-12 is on the hottest seat, do you think? I don't know that any of them are on a particularly hot seat, which makes this easier. I will tell you mine after.
I think Bronco Mendenhall at Utah State.
Okay.
I mean, he went 6-7 last year. But I'm with you. I'm looking through the teams. He
also took over an awful situation too in the interim year with drilling after that. So
yes. I mean, other than that, I don't know. I mean,
so my choice is Kinney, even though they certainly weren't bad last year. But I made the point they've never really reached those expectations of they thought they would win the conference. They thought they'd be one of the best teams in the Sun Belt. I wonder if they're at that point where they know he's decent, but not the guy that can't get you over the hump. You're consistently going to be 7-8 wins, but not vault you to that next level. And I wonder if that would make them go search somewhere else, especially if being in a new conference gives heightened expectations again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. No, I think I didn't keep up with the Sun Belt that much, so this is good for me to know. I will add, I mean, this is his first season at Washington State, but Kirby Moore.
Yeah.
He's not on the hot seat. I just wanted to throw in there. Kirby Moore was an offensive coordinator and wide receivers coach for us back in the day. And he's also a Boise State grad alum.
Yes.
So
I did know it was the Boise.
Yeah. So with him being at Washington State is kind of fun and add some storylines to the Pac-12.
And the other new coach, Jamarcus Shepard at Oregon State, who was DeBoer's assistant at Alabama last year, before that at Washington. But Oregon State was also pretty quick to pull the trigger on Trent Bray, so they didn't give him a lot of grace period there. You wonder if they do the same with Shepard or not. So
yeah, Oregon State's an interesting team because I think they had a big name a couple of years ago transferring with Malik Murphy.
Yes,
and they haven't performed well.
And before that was DJU.
That's right.
Yeah, who'd had a good year there, then went to Florida State and had a bad year. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Yeah. So it's very interesting. This Pac-12 has some fun storylines, but it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, no, I agree. Then the last question I always ask, the reverse of the hot seat, which coach in the conference do you think with a really good season or two could then move up and get a blue blood type job or a good P4 job?
Well, I would say Entz.
Yeah, I think Entz probably is the guy. Yeah.
And I think the top 3 are Entz, Sean Lewis at San Diego State, and Spencer Danielson at Boise State.
Tough to say they're not. Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Kirby Moore brings this. If he does well at Wazoo, he might bounce back to somewhere else because he didn't perform well at Missouri as the OC there, so we'll see. But I would say probably Sean Lewis. I would say Sean Lewis. I think Danielson loves Boise and Entz really loves Fresno. But who knows? But so my guess would be Sean Lewis. People are going to be very surprised by San Diego State this
year. Yeah, I think that's a fair one too, especially looking at where potential openings could be. Being a former Colorado assistant, he might be in the mix for that job if it were to open up. So,
and I will add someone outside of head coaches. I think Benedetto, our defensive coordinator, possibly get a shot at a nice head coaching job. Maybe not P4, but so a nice G6 job. If Fresno State defense performs like they did last year, I would not be shocked if he gets a head coaching job somewhere.
Yeah, I think that would be a fair one too. He is a guy that could move up, definitely. But we've reached our time here, Caleb. So, I wanted to thank you for being here. And listeners out there, you can always, I'll tag all of Caleb's accounts in the Beware Bulldogs pod, so you'll be able to easily follow them. But I had a lot of fun. This is a great episode. Glad we could be here today.
Oh, Mike, I appreciate it, man. I enjoyed myself as well. Hey, man, Thunder and Herd, fun team. I saw some photos of a lime green jersey that Marshall had that they were.
Yep.
We got to bring that. They were taking photos with it with recruits. I think they should bring that.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah. They will mix. They'll do that or black for some of the home games this year. They actually released the jersey concepts a week or two ago, so they are wearing the green for a couple home games.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. But thanks again, and see you later, everybody. Thanks for being here.